Extreme. I almost wish when I said extreme there was some kind of voiceover or sound effect that would do that. I'm still getting used to the name Extreme instead of Ultimate. But this is Extreme Collectibles doing a unplanned review. The reason why the review was unplanned is I've had this piece for quite a while and it is an amazing piece. There's plenty of reviews out there on it. But this week I have 2 more from this line arriving, and I actually ended up POing 2 more. So I thought I'd do a review on him. And one of the other things, whenever I do a review, I kind of get a new, my love for the piece kind of rebounds even more, and this one has times 10, so I'm really excited to do it, so let's do it. Extreme Collectibles here with quarter scale XM Studios Batman Samurai. So this is a ES of 999 of these were made. It originally retailed a year or 2 back from XM Studios for around 990 Singapore dollars, which is approximately 760, 770 US dollars, depending on the exchange rate, plus shipping. Nowadays it flips for about twice that price. And the reason it flips is you're going to find out, but to me one of the big reasons is because of all the switch outs. It's almost like having 4 different statues in one, and it's a problem of what to do with all the switch outs when you're not on there, but we're going to dive right into the switch outs because it's going to take quite a while. So first you have 5 portraits, the first one being the Samurai portrait, traditional, exactly what you would think of with Batman. The second is a traditional Batman portrait. Third is a mix kind of between the Samurai and the Batman, and this is the one I've had displayed since I first got it. Fourth is an unmasked version of Bruce Wayne. And the last portrait is kind of a Batman Beyond, red eyes, black face, very cool looking one. Next switch out is the chest plate. You actually have 2 different colors, this black one right here, or you can change it to a red one. 2 different types of shoulder pads are available on each side. The first being a traditional Samurai type style, and the other one being a more modern armored tech type style. Left arm, there are tons of switch outs. The first one being this black sword. You could also switch it out with a red sword, which would complement the red chest plate. He also has this black batarang. If you wanted, you could go to an open hand. And lastly, a closed fist. On the right hand, he has a black sword, as well as a red batarang and an open hand. Or you can switch out the entire arm so it's not drooping down, but it's pointing up towards the ceiling, holding a bat gun. So tons and tons of switch outs, which I think is one of the reasons this piece is so popular. You can pretty much switch up the display at all times, and they each have their own merit and different combinations that look really cool. I think I'm going to use this traditional one for quite a while. It's very reminiscent of the Bat Samurai, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in concept and design. And the other one I really like is the one I put together here with the hues of red from the Batman Beyond typeface, the red eyes, the red chest plate, the red weapons. So tons of different options. And I have XM Catwoman and XM Batgirl coming this week to join him, and then I PO'd the Bat Shogun, so him on a horse, and Bane Samurai. So the entire Samurai line other than Poison Ivy and Deathstroke. Poison Ivy's a no for me, I'm just not a fan, and Deathstroke's a maybe for me because I'm not a big fan of the character. But it came in your standard XM boxing. The base is one piece, Batman's another, then his arms, head, leg, sculpted cape, you have to put completely together. On a side note, it was an XM standard boxing with the straps and the very tight lid, and there was no damages, which there never is with XM, but it was a small box for everything it contained, which really surprised me, which I love because storing boxes is even a bigger problem than finding areas to display the statues. So conceptually, it's pretty simple. It's Batman Samurai. Next. But if you wanted to dive a little bit more into it, so obviously this is more about when he had his stint in Japan and was training in the ways of the samurai. And I like how they switched it up. You obviously can't switch out the base, but the base will go with the rest of the line. But how you can switch it up to a more modernized version, and I like how it's not the samurai of old. It's not from hundreds of years ago, but he has high-tech armor still on, and he's kind of standing there victorious, blowing in the wind. You can almost see it, the classic Batman looking out over Gotham City or Tokyo or wherever he is. It's one of the few towns in Japan I know. I've been to Nagasaki actually, which was very sombering for a US citizen. Probably for anybody actually. Now I'm just rambling. So very cool concept and design. One of the things I'm a little nervous if I put Batgirl next to him, which I'm going to review later this week. She's in a dynamic pose, so hopefully they look good next to each other. We will find out. There's probably a lot of people out here that are really going to jump at me for some of the concept and design I talk about, particularly with the base, and it's mainly because I'm ignorant, so I do apologize if that offends you. But obviously, looking at the base, there's a lot of Japanese influence on this, traditional, older Japanese influence to help go along with the theme of the statue. From the face that they have on the front to almost looks like they're concrete, but looks like bamboo pillars coming out. You see the different stones on the top of the building. One really cool thing on the bat, in the back they have a Batman symbol along with a picture of a Japanese building, it looks like, and they mixed it in really well together. I think the sculpt on it is done very well. The paint looks a little shiny. It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look as amazing as a statue of 1,000 pieces that still flips for half the price. So it's very complex, a lot of things going on here, and personally I think it looks good. It doesn't look fantastic, it's not the best thing I've ever seen, but it's a cool looking base and I like how it stays with the theme. And I think the rest of the bases of the line, what's really cool is they all stay with the theme, but they're not the exact same bases, almost how a lot of people do if you're doing the same line. So I'm going to start with his cape next. First of all, his cape, fully sculpted, it looks really thin, and it's not, and I don't know how they did that. I don't know if it's the paint or the sculpt, but it looks like it's flowing, looks like a very light cape, but it's not. So there's some good texture in there, there's some good folds where the sculpt is, and it's this nice shiny black matte color. Shiny matte, I don't know if that can go together. I think they did a great job on the cape. I'm a big fan, especially the direction of it. So before I get into Batman, one interesting thing about him, I love this because it looks like very traditional, but very high tech. So when I say traditional, I mean sticking to the theme of the Bat Sam. That's my short and length for Batman Samurai. But it looks high tech, but it looks like it could fit into kind of the era that you kind of think of about this, which is, definitely not 2019. But moving up, so very cool job on his boots. I think they did a good job implementing them. It's fully sculpted. There's some buckles that are holding the armor plates together. And I like the different hues they used. They could have made this very black, but they used different grays and different silvers, even some copper tones in there. And that same theme goes all the way up to his knees. There's some buckles sculpted in, and you can see some of the sculpted fabric below the armor part of the boots. And on a side note, this is almost the entire sculpt of the statue, and they're able to put in that armor and on top of the fabric that they sculpted in. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands, but you can still see some I don't know why I'm doing this either. You can still see some muscle definition, which is pretty cool how they're able to execute on all those things together, which is why this statue is so great. So moving up, his thighs, as I just said, a lot of the same, but looks very, very cool. And you can definitely see some texture and sculpt and muscle definition in there. Then moving up to his belt, I really like his belt. Again, it looks like a high-tech belt. It's fully sculpted. There's a lot of intricate detail in there. Some of it, in my opinion, could have been better, and I don't know if it's the paint or the sculpt, but they could have made it a little more clean, a little more differentiating. Then moving up to his torso, this is what I really like. So obviously fully body armored here. And again, just like they did on the legs, there's a lot of definition in both the fabric they sculpted in underneath the armor, and you can see a little bit of the muscle both on his arms and the torso. And then the armor plating on top of it just looks really cool. And then he has his classic forearm guards with the blades coming out of them. Again, some neat underlaying texture on that mixed in with the armor aspect of it. His gloves are sculpted very well over his hands. There's some nice folds in there and some good definition on the color. I haven't talked too much about the paint because since I've talked about the lower part, because it's all very similar, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it's very good. I really like where his head is connecting at. It's very, very cool. Again, they've done a good job interlaying layers from the armor to the body that's underneath it and the fabric in between. Then I just want to look at his unmasked portrait and his samurai portrait. So first I want to look at a samurai portrait. First of all, there's not a lot going on here. It doesn't need to be that detailed, but they still did a very good job. A few different folds in the actual cowl or the helmet. It's kind of a mix between a helmet and a cowl. Actually, now that I look at it, it could be a helmet on top of his cowl. You see the different folds, the different lines, so there's not really a lot of sculpt to be able to show any facial expressions. However, the mouth part that you can see, his lips are pursed. He's very serious. They made his lips a little too pink, if you ask me, and it's like that on the unmasked portrait as well. He almost looks like a Barbie doll in a way, a Ken doll, but Bruce Wayne kind of was. He's kind of a prim and proper guy. But they did a great job with the shadings, and his eyes look alive, which I like a lot. So really, that's kind of where I land on this piece. One of the things I'm really excited now that I have them out and I got all the switch outs out, I'm gonna switch them quite often. See what looks best with the new characters that come in. But this is one of the reasons I love doing reviews is you kind of reflame, what's the word I'm looking for? Reinvigorate your love for some old pieces. Reflame, what the hell is that? Reinvigorate your love for some old pieces and different things you can do with them. So very excited about having this piece back out again. And when I say back out, he was just displayed on the other side of the room with some Justice League stuff. So gonna display him actually behind me temporarily until my Maji cases come in. So you will see him in upcoming future reviews, probably. He will be behind me, but I don't know if you'll be able to see him. So with that, I appreciate you watching. If you liked it, give me a like. If you wanted to share it, please share it. And please subscribe if you have not already, because we are going to do XM Catwoman, XM Batgirl. And then also this week, I have premium format Thor, Hush Superman, custom Darkseid, Iron Man, or not Iron Man, Iron Studios, Ant-Man, and there's custom Wolverine and a custom Cyclops should be arriving next week too. Crazy. Thanks so much. Take care.